Hey builders, welcome back to another Forge College Explainer. Seriously thrilled to have you here today. So last time, we dug into the abstract primitives of access control. But today we're actually rolling up our sleeves. We're going to translate those EVM concepts into a rock-solid functioning SVM implementation. That's right, we are building the classic ownable pattern from scratch, right here in Rust and Anchor. So grab your hard hats and let's get this machine running.
Here's the blueprint for today's build. We've got Welcome to the Ownable Club, our Solidity to Anchor translation, drafting the account structure, building the runtime bouncer, testing the ownable machine, and we'll wrap up with key takeaways and next steps. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Welcome to the Ownable Club, understanding the pattern.
Okay, let's dive into this. Think of access control like a bouncer at a super exclusive club. Now, in the EVM world, Solidity bouncers basically just remember faces, right? The state is totally implicit. But in the SVM world, anchor bouncers are relentlessly strict. I mean, you have to bring your own persistent ledger. That's the account. And they check that ledger against a temporary execution proof, your signer. You can't just, smile and wave at the door. You need the cryptographic ID, and the bouncer absolutely needs the official clipboard to verify it.
Moving on to Section 2, Solidity to Anchor translation. Translating concepts.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact translation between these two environments. Look, in Solidity, you just declare an owner variable and slap a modifier owner only on a function, right? Boom, it's all bundled together. But in Anchor, we completely decouple the data from the enforcement. The owner state becomes an Anchor account struct, actively persisted on the blockchain. And the modifier? Well, that turns into an explicit require macro runtime check, sitting right at the very entry of our instruction. We're literally separating the vault from the guard here.
All right, Section 3, drafting the account structure, mechanical parts.
So to actually build this thing, we need 3 essential files in our workspace. First, lib.rs. That's where our Anchor program logic actually lives. Then, ownable.ts, which is our local test script to make sure the gears are actually turning. And finally, anchor.toml, our program config. Listen, meticulous syntax here is absolutely non-negotiable. Seriously, one typo and the compiler is going to yell at you before you even get out of the gate.
Now here's the step-by-step flow for our lib.rs file. Step 1, we initialize the account and carve out the exact memory space we need. Step 2, we write the logic to transfer ownership safely. And step 3, we implement the specific action that only the owner is allowed to execute. It's a nice logical progression.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is the memory. We define a config account that holds a single owner pubkey. But look closely at the space allocation, 8 plus 32 bytes. You might be wondering, why? Well, it's because Anchor always reserves exactly 8 bytes right at the beginning for an account discriminator, kind of like its own internal ID tag. And a standard pubkey requires exactly 32 bytes. So in the SVM, you literally have to tell the ledger exactly how much space your authority needs to live. No guesswork allowed.
Which brings us to Section 4, building the runtime bouncer, enforcing logic gates.
Enter the require macro. This right here, this is our bouncer. Remember, over in Solana, just having a signer attached to your transaction simply isn't enough. I mean, sure, the SVM knows you signed it, but it doesn't care if you're the owner yet. We have to explicitly use the require macro to ask the program, hey, does the config.owner exactly match the signer.key? If it doesn't, bam, the transaction stops dead in its tracks.
And when that transaction does stop, we want it to fail informatively, right? That's exactly why we define a custom error code.notowner. This actually maps beautifully back to what you'd expect from a standard Solidity revert message. Take my word for it, adding these explicit error codes makes debugging your runtime failures infinitely less painful when you're building.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Transient signer checks are never, and I mean never, a substitute for persistent on-chain authority. The signature simply proves who is executing the transaction right now. But the persisted account data, that proves who actually owns the rights to the vault. You always need both working together to keep things secure.
Okay, Section 5, testing the ownable machine, granting and denying access.
To validate this locally, you're going to follow a pretty straightforward sequence. You run Anchor build, start up your local validator, call initialize to set the owner, and then test the action as the owner. But, and this is the most important part, step 5,
you have to test the action signed by a completely different key pair. Just to make absolutely sure your gate actually holds strong and keeps the wrong people out. When you run those tests, the owner should receive a glorious success state, right? The OK result. The non-owner, on the other hand, receives a highly intentional failure, aborting with our not-owner error. Now, a quick pro tip. If you test this and see weird, unexpected errors instead, double-check your code for typos. And actually make absolutely sure you didn't forget the mute, the mutable declaration on your config account. Seriously, we've all been there. It happens to the best of us.
And finally, Section 6, Key Takeaways and Next Steps, Reviewing the Blueprint. Let's quickly recap your blueprint. You absolutely must persist the owner inside an Anchor account. Use that require at macro to fail fast and fail loudly. Ensure you've got that precise 8 plus 32-byte account space allocation. And of course, handle the pair correctly during initialization. If you do all that, you've just built yourself a super secure module that's totally ready for more complex access controls down the line. I'll leave you with this final, kind of provocative rule of system architecture. Think about this. Stateful authority and stateless proof are distinct primitives that must be composed intentionally. Never, ever confuse the temporary signature for the permanent permission slip. All right, to dive deeper into this concept or explore a huge library of other Web3 topics, head on over to forge.college. This has been a Forge College Explainer. Keep building, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.